The first piece is by Ginastera. I pronounce him that way because he told me himself he wanted his name pronounced Ginastera, not Ginastera, because his father was Catalan, his mother was Italian, and that's the way they pronounced it. What it is a kind of young person's guide to the orchestra, or not so much a young person's guide as just a guide to the orchestra. And what it does, the Bartók Concerto for Orchestra has no soloists at all. It's all about group. And the Britain Young Person's Guide is the whole section which is presented. In this piece, it is the individual soloists in the orchestra, the leaders of each section, who have solos, very challenging solos, and you'll get to know them, and you'll come out of the performance saying, wow, what amazing players, and what an orchestra. So you'll hear some solos that you rarely hear from. For instance, the viola. How many times have you heard a big solo in an orchestral piece? Of course, Don Quixote. But other than that, it's very rare. Double bass, you almost never hear a solo from the double bass, only the Mahler first, very rare. And it's very interesting to know that the clarinet variation is so difficult, it actually has a note in it that is unplayable on the instrument. So I asked the clarinetist Rani Moore if it really was unplayable. She said, no, it's playable if you're lucky. So the piece starts with the harp. Sorry. And it's interesting because that is very familiar because it's the tuning of the guitar. So everybody knows that, and it's immediately familiar and immediately suggests South America, Latin America, Spain. And that's the essential chord that lies behind this whole piece. Those intervals are fundamental to the piece. And then the cello, the first cello, plays a kind of flamenco piece, part which is marked in the end esaltato, exalted, and he begins goes up a scale, and then back to E. And then he starts on B and comes down. And to E. E. E, 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 E. Right. So it's all about that E, a kind of improvisation around that. And he builds a whole set of variations, 12 variations on that theme. And you can hear it throughout every variation. It ends on that high E and is joined by the second violins coming down. And then it takes over the cellos. And then eventually the basses. And the bass is E. And you'll be so mesmerized by that falling scale that you won't notice that the second violins are playing. They're playing the theme. That rising scale. So it's very ingenious, it's very clever, but you know what it is mainly? It's enormously enjoyable. It is such fun to listen. And there's a flute variation, there's a clarinet, viola, the oboe and bassoon go together. in canon. You play one phrase and then the other plays it afterwards, like that all the way through. And then the trumpet and the trombone play a variation together. There's a very brilliant violin one, which seems a little bit like a Scottish reel. And I always think there may have been a confusion there with the Falkland Islands, you know, somehow between Scotland and Argentina. I just invented that, maybe not. And then there are three quiet ones, a beautiful one for horn, one of the most beautiful things, the horn, and our horn player is Kevin Owen, just a magnificent player. You won't hear it ever played more beautifully. And then the winds all together, and then, amazingly enough, double bass. A double bass solo, which is the same as the cello one, except in reverse. Instead of going up to the high E, it goes down to E. And then comes the final one, which is brilliant, and everybody plays together and uses all those wonderful Spanish rhythms. You know that. So that it's just full of fun. It's beautiful. It's very easy to listen to.